Ladies and gentlemen, we have one more session before we break for lunch. I see a lot of you are already in a rush to get to lunch, but hold on one more second because we have just one more. So, this was wonderful. I think that Yuval touched on three very important points. He, of course, neglected the fourth point, which is coffee. We spoke about this yesterday, so remember, always add coffee to everything. And with that in mind, I would like to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is Mr. Dan Brouillette, the Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Department of Energy. Please help me welcoming him on stage. Sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for that kind introduction. Yuval, I think the second toughest position to be in is the position right before lunch. So you had a tough one. But to be just before lunch is really, really tough. But thank you, sir, for that kind introduction. I'm honored to be with all of you today. And I'm honored to be here at what is the world's most important cyber conference. And I want to thank our Israeli hosts for making it an absolute reality. And let me also relay warm greetings from President Trump, as well as from Secretary Perry of the U.S. Department of Energy, our entire Department of Energy, as well as all of the American people. When the President moved our embassy to Jerusalem in May of last year, it reflected two important things. It obviously reflected bold, decisive leadership that underscored the deep and abiding friendship between our two democracies. But it also reflected something else, a dramatic change in the energy landscape. After decades of dependence on imported energy, the United States is now virtually an energy-independent country. And this has allowed us a newfound freedom. Freedom to move our embassy, yes, but also to pursue initiatives like the U.S.-Israel Energy Center, which was implemented last June by agreement between our department and Israel's Energy Ministry. And this agreement will help us bring forth innovative energy technologies for the benefit of our two nations. In other words, our rise to energy independence strengthens our ability to make decisions that clearly reflect the interests of the United States and its allies, including Israel. But despite this good news, we continue to face determined adversaries posing serious threats to both us and to our friends. From hostile governments to terrorist organizations, the United States, Israel, and indeed the entire free world face a host of bad actors, eager to exploit our vulnerabilities, damage our energy infrastructure, and disrupt our energy delivery. And by any measure, ensuring energy delivery is a national security imperative. Simply stated, if our electric grid went down and stayed down, the consequences would be devastating. And that explains, in a nutshell, our concern about cyber attacks. The danger is real, it is rising, and it is more complex than ever before. For the United States, we have a comprehensive approach to cybersecurity. We work closely with our allies and our colleagues within the U.S. government, but DOE is the sector-specific agency for securing the energy arena. And since I serve as chairman of the DOE Cyber Council, let me just summarize really quickly some steps that we're taking to counter cyber and other threats. Our responsibility falls under three broad areas. First, America's privately owned energy infrastructure. Second, the infrastructure that we at DOE own. And finally, the technology that we develop in our national laboratories that helps us protect infrastructure across the entire energy sector. In the first category, working with our private sector partners, we begin the process by identifying threats to our infrastructure. If they come from bad actors, we try to prevent them and move immediately to protect the most critical assets. And we also engage in preparedness planning so that if disaster strikes, we can respond and recover very quickly. That's the concept. But how do we put this into practice with our private sector partners? Well, there's really 5 simple steps. We share information about the threats, the vulnerabilities, the incidents, and the potential protective measures. We provide situational awareness through monitoring and analysis. We help organizations assess their capabilities and their vulnerabilities. Importantly, we help them align their risk management practices with national standards, and we engage in and we support exercises to enhance preparedness by simulating specific threats or incidents. To advance this strategy within DOE, we're doing several things. We've developed an initiative to address the gaps in readiness and locate efficiencies. Last year, within our department, we established the Office of Cybersecurity, Energy Security, and Emergency Response so that we can better coordinate with the private and public sectors while leveraging our already existing capabilities. And one of those capabilities is our Cybersecurity Risk Information Sharing Program, which enables utilities all across America to share cyber data almost in real time, and importantly, analyze that data through U.S. intelligence. We created a multi-year plan for energy sector cybersecurity, dealing with everything from preparedness and response to developing resilient energy delivery systems. And through our Electricity Sector Information Sharing and Analysis Center, or what we refer to as EISAC, we work to reduce security risk all across North America. But as we partner with the private sector, we can't ignore that second pillar, that second area of responsibility, and that is the very real risk to DOE's infrastructure, which includes 17 national laboratories and our nuclear weapons stockpile. Just as with the private sector, there is no such thing as total risk elimination. That's why we prioritize our cyber efforts through a risk management framework, along with a high value asset program so that we can secure our most sensitive infrastructure. Through our Joint Cybersecurity Coordination Center, or what we refer to as IJC3, we aim to reduce our risk by engaging in high quality information technology and cybersecurity programs. The IGC's current programs enable DOE to increase its ability to share threat information, to expand its critical infrastructure protection capabilities, and provide an active defense and improve our incident responses and preparedness. Now that I've touched on our security efforts in terms of the first two categories, assisting our nation's privately held infrastructure and protecting DOE's own infrastructure, let's turn to the final category and address what Gil talked about earlier, and that is prevention. By applying science and technology to our own security mission. One example of this is our expertise in advanced computing capabilities. As we deal with the ever-increasing richness of available data, this computing power that we have at the DOE will help us analyze information on cyber threats contained in data sets that are so large, no other institution can process them. But even with that computing power, we ask a fundamental question: can we eliminate every threat that we face? The answer to that is clearly no. But here's what we can do. We can make successful attacks more difficult than ever before. And on the Israeli side, I saw that happening through the work of cyber entrepreneurs. I saw it firsthand just 3 days ago down in Beersheba. On the American side, I see our national laboratories, which are home to the world's fastest supercomputers. I see them using them, along with the next generation of exascale machines to advance artificial intelligence that will strengthen cybersecurity and reach what I hope will be the goal that Gil is pointing toward us, and that is ultimate prevention. To sum all this up, the challenge is real, but together I'm absolutely convinced that we can meet it. In the end, Ronald Reagan once reminded us, he said, "No weapon is so formidable as the will and the moral courage of free men and women. It is the weapon that our adversaries do not have. It is the weapon that we do have." So thank you for allowing me to be with you. May both of our nations remain safe, secure, and strong. Thank you.